The date is October 31st, 2022. The time is 5:32. This is the Finance Committee meeting, and this meeting is being recorded.
Welcome, folks. Thanks for coming out tonight. I am Chairman Joe Didi.
Vice Chair Lita DiMaria. Karen DeMayo.
Robert Horacek.
Sherry Knowlton.
Paul Conley. David.
David Messy.
Great. David, how are you today?
Doing great, Joe. Probably better than you sound.
Yeah, I know. It can only get better. I have your name in front of me, David, so hopefully I won't forget you tonight. Okay. All right, up first, folks, we want to approve of the minutes dated 10/4/22, the meeting minutes. I need a motion. Has everyone read them? Yes. And everyone comfortable with them? Yeah. All right. Second. All right. Did you get that? Okay, so I'll make sure. Motion was made and seconded. All those in favor, Joe Didi, aye.
Lita DiMaria, aye. Karen DeMayo.
Robert Horacek, aye.
Sherry Knowlton, aye.
Paul Conley, aye. Richard Z, aye. David?
So at this point, I'm still an alternate.
Oh,
Do you want me to vote?
okay.
Yep.
No, no,
Okay.
that's fine. Oh, yes. And then we'll jump right back to public comments because I didn't see that. Anyone here have public comments? They would like to say something, state your name and address for the book. In the back, nobody? All right, well, thank you. All right, so we're going to go out of order tonight. This will be easier for some folks that are here. And we are going to take the reserve fund transfer. Conservation Commission requested for a secretarial funds gap. And a request for additional funds for conference and travel. So we'll do the funds gap first. Anyone here would like to talk about that?
Yeah, hi everybody, Dave McWilliams, 4 Hannibal Drive. I'm the Chair of the Conservation Commission.
Okay,
Thank you for seeing us tonight.
sure.
So I believe it was back in either 2018 or 2019, it was decided that conservation would hold on to all of the fees that were brought in for applications for notices of intent as well as RDAs. And at the time we were bringing in like $17,000 a year, and part of that was to, I don't think it was intended to, but I believe it turned out that we were winding up paying for our own secretary out of those funds. Okay.
Understood.
So when you're pulling in $17,000 a year, that's pretty easy to do, but actually the requests for the applications has declined over the years. And we're at the point right now where we aren't funded in that account to cover the cost of our secretary throughout the rest of the fiscal year.
Yep.
Right. So what we're looking for is funding for the gap between what we have, notwithstanding any revenues that we bring in. Obviously, if new revenues are brought in, that would be used for her salary. With the intent of the next round of coming before your board for our annual budget, I will be asking to put her back on the regular town salary so that we're not using the revolving fund for that. I think we would like to see the revolving fund used for more trail maintenance and property maintenance for the town's properties that we're managing. But for right now, for this particular meeting, we're just looking to cover the gap. According to finance, her salary is about $200 per pay period.
Okay.
Right now, we're showing a balance of $1,376 in that fund. And I think if I did the math, it's going to be about $3,000 between now and then to need to cover her salary. So we're just, again, looking for.
You're looking for 3,600.
Yeah, I mean, and that could change. You know, we won't use it all if we don't have to, but I just want to make sure she's funded to get paid throughout the year. I don't like the idea of somebody's salary being based on fees and licenses that may or may never happen.
Right. So, of course, is that the only thing coming out of that account?
No, the auto allowance for the conservation coordinator is also coming out of that. That is part of what is encumbered.
Right.
Is for the 749. That's for the auto allowance for the rest of the year.
Okay.
That's a separate fund. That's for the education, the training and travel. This is the revolving account?
This is a revolving account and the auto allowance comes out of
Goes out of that.
that.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
right,
Not the travel.
okay,
No. Hers.
yeah, all right, good.
And that's the only two things that come out of that.
Statement.
That's the only two things. that-
Yeah, that
I forgot. about that.
generally come out of that, yes.
Right,
In the
okay.
past, there have been a few other things
Right,
that have
so-
come up.
So for the rest of this year,
Progressive this
This are the
year,
only two
salary
things.
and the auto,
Okay.
and then, building up to make sure there's enough to cover
Yep.
future auto.
yep, understood. So I have to ask the question, is there enough work for her, the secretary that,
We have meetings regardless of whether or not we have.
right, so the funding source really didn't cover her doing more, it's her day-to-day operations. It just happened to come out of this line item.
Yeah.
That's a better way of saying, it, right? Okay, understood. Any discussion from you folks? Nothing? Nope.
No,
Yeah, I would suggest we figure something else out for next year to make it a little smoother for you, you know. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
We'll make the motion.
Okay. Second the motion. You got that? Okay. All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Alita G. Maria, I.
Karen Jemaya, aye.
Robert Hotchek, aye.
Sherry Knowlton, I.
Paul Conley, aye. Richard Z, aye. Aye. I didn't hear the aye. And then David doesn't vote because he's an alternate.
Right.
Right. Okay, thank you. Where do I sign this? Where do we all sign it? Right here in the bottom? We'll do it later. No, simple. All right, so next up is travel and conference. Original budget was 700, you spent 625. And professional development, evasive plant management certificate program through UMass Amherst. The Comcast budget was created and finalized before the new conservation commission was hired. There will be a last time Amherst will provide this certificate program this year. Okay.
Yeah, just, again, David Williams.
Yep.
I think it's well known that we have a lot of new people on our commission. And fortunately, they've taken advantage of the training that's been able to be afforded to them through the Mass Association of Conservation Commission.
Yep.
So we burned through our budget a lot quicker than we typically would in the past, including the addition of Sabrina, our coordinator. So what we're looking to do is continue her education because she's really the point person for people in the town that are going to come to.
Yep.
And obviously, with the large parcels of land that are under the control of the town, we want to get ahead of any invasive species that are growing there. And obviously, her being better educated on the process of eradicating those benefits the town in general. So again, we have a shortfall. We're looking to cover the gap so that she can go ahead and get smarter.
Interesting. So this will be it though for the rest of the year, correct? We're not going to come back in 6 weeks for another program. Like this will get us, you'll be satisfied with this for the rest of the season. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Self-help.
And the only question I really have is, being the town with the species, is it a different formula than the private sector that gets tortured with the species?
Oh, you mean?
Yeah, just, you know,
invasive?
yeah.
I think it depends on your land.
Yeah, I bet it does.
Yeah,
And the person.
there's a bunch. I mean,
There is.
there's some up at Sapanowski that we've had some work days, had a work day and a couple more trying to do that. So some of that.
Yeah,
There's some over at North Pond that we can take care of. I mean, it's just everywhere,
it is. Yeah.
you know, and the better we can get ahead of it, it's just down the road. And I think anybody who's got a yard has to do with bittersweet,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and that's just one of many.
One of many. All right. Any questions, folks? That's good.
Make the motion.
Thank you. All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Alita G. Maria, I.
Karen Jemaya, aye.
Robert Hotchek, aye.
Sherry Knowlton, I.
Paul Conley, aye. Richard, aye. Thank you, folks. We do
Thank
not
you.
want
I
to see
wish you
you
guys
again
could
until
be
budget
me.
season.
You know,
Thanks, guys.
appreciate it.
No
Take care
problem.
now.
Bye-bye.
All right. Okay, develop and approve pros and cons for the financial articles for the special town meeting. So let's tackle the Wally computer one first. Is there some notes out there? You said you had a few. No.
I mean, just for the pros and cons, thinking, as a taxpayer, some of the pros that were said, if anybody listened to I don't know, were we planning on listening to the
We can.
thing? I don't know if everybody had a chance to,
Have you listened to the
okay. Because I got some of the pros.
Yeah.
From that,
from Mr. Fox?
correct.
That's fine.
You're talking about the YouTube video?
Yeah. It's only 5 minutes long.
Just can't remember how I got there. Oh, I got it through Facebook. Of course. There he is. Doesn't look happy anymore. That's okay. All the way up. Oh.
Special town meeting at Southwick Regional School. But the change that we're going to be doing this time is it'll be in the gymnasium, not in the auditorium. The special town meeting that we're going to be conducting on the 15th has 2 articles. Article 1 is to approve a tax increment financing agreement between the town of Southwick and Wally Computer Associates, Inc. The tax incentive, also known as TIF, is an agreement or a tool that the town uses to retain or to entice businesses to the town of Southwick. It's used by many communities, and we are going to be offering one, if the voters approve, one to Wally Computer Associates for a facility that they're building in the industrial park at 18 Hudson Drive. It's approximately an 84,000 square foot building with an estimated cost of $8 to $10 million. The tip that we're going to be offering Wally Computer Associates is one that we've worked with Wally Computer Associates in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and have negotiated and are recommending a 10-year agreement that will create a minimum of 20 positions over the life of the 10-year agreement. The discount that they will be receiving is just on improvements to the property. They will always be paying the same amount they were paying before for the property. And it will start off in year 1 with a 90% reduction and work down to year 10 where they receive a 10% reduction. If approved by the voters, it would then go back to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts where they would have the final say on approving this agreement. The article is one where there are no amendments accepted. It is strictly an up or down vote. Again, this is a tool that we've used in the past in Southwick. Other communities use it. And rather to see one of our businesses go to another community, we'd like to see them stay here and create the new jobs. And over the 10-year period, the town of Southwick will see an increase every year in revenue. So the select board will be making a positive recommendation. We invite everybody to attend. If you have any questions, you can go online and review any of the documents. They're available here at Town Hall. We encourage everybody to come out. We realize there's real.
Right. So that's what you got. 8 to 10 million. It's a 10-year deal, 20 jobs.
That's right. So 20 positions over, estimated from this. Discounts are on the improvements only. So
Yes.
not the normal
No.
tax property revenue. And it's a declining discount too. So it's
Yep.
not like this for the full 10 years. So, and the state has to approve it afterwards anyway. So,
Correct.
so that's kind of what I gathered from that, from the pros.
Karen? Nothing.
Nothing.
Okay. Joe?
Hey, Joe.
Dave?
Yeah, what was the number you just threw out? in millions?
You said 8 to 10 million.
And what does that represent? The cost to the town in terms of the incentive?
I believe that's the cost of the construction. Is it, I believe
Oh.
that is 8 to 10 million to build it,
That's the value of the building.
value of the building. And I don't know what they pay for taxes today. And I don't know what 8 to 10 million looks like in taxes either.
$1 million costs you about $17,000 a year in taxes. Okay, so the first year, well, let's say it was valued at 8.
Yep.
Okay, their first year tax bill would be what our mill rate, what it is, would be approximately $136,000 in taxes. Okay, if they only pay, if the first one is they get the 90% reduction, they'll only pay like $14,000 in taxes. We would lose like $122,000, and it steps down in revenue over the course of the years. But after the 10 years, and you get the full
Right.
and you get the full tax thing.
So our first year is 14 and so on and so on.
Right, and then it steps down.
That's
So
14.
sorry,
Go ahead.
the incentive is for, the incentive is against the taxable, the business tax, not the improvements like I think was mentioned. Sounds like you're saying.
The tax is on the new construction.
Right.
The old structure is still taxed the same way it's been taxed, which had a TIF agreement for 10 years also back in the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they crunched the numbers such that the net gain is positive. I don't know. I mean, it's estimated and it's based on assumptions, like the assumption that, Mr. Wally, let's say he would still do it whether the TIF was in place or not. And if you take that just for comparison's sake, it's still a net gain because of the revenue that would be received from the employees and I'm just trying to.
Right. Your first year, your net gain is 14,000 your first year, regardless. And then it's only going to go up from there. And as of right now, it'd be up to 136,000 if it was the whole package to begin with.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So it's 14, probably 28.
Right. It's probably less than, quick math in my head, probably less than $500,000 lost to the town in 10 years when you do the declining.
Right.
Right. But that's considered, in my mind, I put that also as a con. That's income, like for in my brain over 10 years, that's not that big of a deal, but to a taxpayer, my taxpayer brain, that is a con as well. But one of the questions that I had that could potentially be a con is how does a business qualify for this? Because not every business in this town probably has qualified for that. So
that's interesting in itself because it's 20 jobs. I think we all know companies in this town that have 40 or 50 employees at times, and they're not in front of us for a incentive per se.
Right.
So you qualify because you went to the state and looked into it because Mr. Wally had one before.
Right.
So he's well aware of how it works.
Yeah. So
then the average business owner wouldn't even. Westfield Gauge is another example. They were in Westfield forever. Years ago, they also got a TIF and built a new building in town. Okay. So, it's that product is out there. Mm-hmm. If you know how to take advantage of that product, it's there for you.
And it's worked for the state.
And it's also with the state.
We have certain, I just heard about a huge conference. We have medical companies like research and all of that. And we've got a high influx of them because we did this deal.
Oh, absolutely.
Get them to come into the state. Yep. And then when we lost them, that's how we got them back as well.
Right.
And they have loads of people that work for them.
Yep.
They're buying houses, they're buying products.
It's a win-win. It just depends on how you want to look at it.
Right.
And how you decipher 20 jobs.
Bigger risk for Southwick as compared to Springfield.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But.
All right. So the pros are 20 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Con is you have to wait for your money.
Exactly. You really have to wait for your money.
And what kind of jobs? What kind of facility is this? Is it like a warehouse facility?
It sounds like a warehouse. Yeah.
yeah.
Which they're now using at Westfield. I know they rent land over there to do the same thing, so.
So it's not necessarily the high paying jobs.
It's not an engineering firm or anything. right?
Nope,
Well, no, nothing like that.
it is not.
But you bring up an interesting point, is that those potential 20 jobs are probably in Westfield right now.
They are
Yeah, so.
up at the airport.
Yeah, that's a very good point because, you know, on its face, you'd say, well, Mr. Wally is, you know, dyed in the wool Southwick, and he's not going to turn his back on this venture just because, you know, but he already has a alternative. So it makes it more compelling.
But the 20 jobs are already in Westfield, which is just one town over. So it's,
Well, we think there's 20 jobs there. That's we're just.
we're thinking,
Yeah.
but if
No.
he already has the
Right.
facility over there and he's moving the facility here,
Mhm.
technically it's really creating 20 jobs. It's not a
He
totally
is for our town.
for our town.
Yes.
But say the people live in Westfield, they just drive here. Is that really an incentive? They just maybe get a few gallons of gas, a Dunkin' Donuts stop? That's
It's hard
not,
it's hard to say.
you know?
Yeah.
So,
You can't, you can only
Right.
dive in so deep. You know what I mean?
A con is always going to be the unknown.
Right.
That's
right.
all
Yeah.
for whatever we do.
As we've learned in the past, we can't control the pay scale. And it's not our job to worry about what someone gets paid.
The
It just
incentive
isn't.
isn't really the job, it's the brick and mortar building that's still there.
It's the infrastructure.
regardless of
Right,
what's
yeah.
right.
created. So no matter whether there's 5 jobs in the building or 40, we're interested in the tax revenue
Right.
off the brick and mortar.
So 136,000.
So
We
that's-
just spent a lot of money doing a master plan for what does Southwick look like in 20 years. Well, in 10 years, this is gone. Now we have that building that's earning tax revenue.
Which will be
for
far
us.
more than 136,000
Right, that's
Right.
kind of,
by then.
that's the end result.
Right, that's
Okay.
that dollar coming in.
Jobs are important and it is something to look at and to think, but I want to see that brick and mortar building there.
Right.
I don't care if it's empty or whatever, it's still going to be taxed.
Yes,
And that revenue will be coming in. So,
And his business could increase,
Right.
because he's steadily increased since I was a kid, and he was a little tiny company where the pop place, it would have across the summer house, what is that?
Yep.
Not
The-
Paws R Us,
the
but
animal
something
place
else.
there,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah, yeah.
What's the other alternative is you cannot build it at all, and there won't be any revenue to begin.
this is very true.
Correct.
Right, he could look at Westfield and
Right.
I'm sure he could buy it, right?
You know.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, and it also, you know, it benefits the community. So it's tempting just to look at this in its own, you know, nutshell and say, well, it's either, you know, feasible or not. But it really behooves the town to have a thriving business community and a industrial community, because that attracts other, you know, similar businesses or competitors. So I think having that is just kind of a piece of the puzzle, if you will. It's not just evaluating it on its own merits. And
Absolutely.
that's why we have that lever to pull as a town, is to incent, you know, certain businesses to build here.
Yep. He has the land, you know, it's a win-win for him to stay
And
in
it
town.
doesn't I don't know how many kids it would add into the school system, because those people might already live here in town. You know what I'm saying? It's just true tax money.
Right.
And it's not gonna be another draw on the infrastructure of the town. We already have fire, police. I'm sure that one building is not gonna generate a ton of fire calls or, you know,
Right.
police calls, whatever. We have the infrastructure is already in place to handle it.
Yep.
No additional cost. It's just gonna be true tax money coming into the town.
Right. And the permits and everything else involved to do
Right.
this will still be a fee. It doesn't go away because of this program.
Right.
So there is other monies coming in.
Yeah.
Mhm,
And if it's built by local vendors, it's even
Right.
better, right?
mhm.
So,
wait, who's writing it?
all right.
Why are you looking at me?
You want to see my penmanship.
Yeah, I can take a stab at writing it up if, I could probably get it out. I'll try to get it out tonight.
Okay.
And that way, everybody's had like really good feedback. So if we could get that, then I don't mind writing this up, because I
So-
clearly took a lot of notes.
Go ahead. What is our real deadline?
Tonight. Our real deadline is.
No, it really is
tonight.
tonight,
It
yeah.
really is tonight, yeah.
Do you know what to use this? I can use.
Oh, yeah. I
And what do you
should-
need to write?
should have
exactly?
surface.
The pros.
Oh,
and then the
right.
cons.
I'll-
So what-
From
you know,
our perspective.
All right, and
Yeah,
then once
understood.
when the meeting is over, I will start to, yeah.
Right, well, I mean, it can't be all accepted.
Oh, we have to do this now?
Yes.
Last time we did this, we had,
Yeah, that was
Fine.
them. That was them.
Volunteers.
This is now.
all right.
All right. So,
I'll start writing.
okay. So we know what the pros are. So the cons are, you just continue to write.
Yeah,
money. You gotta wait for your money, literally, yeah.
That's really it.
Yeah.
Yep. And it'll be there.
Oh, yeah.
I do wonder what happens if it doesn't work out. Like if Wally gets bought out 3 years in
Mm,
and they close
Right.
and they go elsewhere, I would assume.
And they stop.
Well, no, it's probably not. No, construction's done.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
running.
Right.
3 years in, they sell. 5 years in, they sell.
Right.
9 years in, they sell.
But the building's still there.
No, understood, but I wonder if that goes away because they're no longer there.
Well.
And then we
I
just
don't know.
tax them
That's-
fully.
That would be a good question for legal counsel
Yeah.
because the tip is with Wally.
Yes,
Specifically, the
Not the
entity.
building. It's-
right. It's with that
it's
corporation.
With the business corporation, yeah, so
Yeah.
that would be a pretty good question. to
It's not
ask.
gonna stop us tonight, but that's someone, we just wonder what would happen.
I'm sure legal counsel at town meeting can,
Oh, yeah, I am sure
I'm
he'll,
sure Ben will be happy to.
Yeah,
explain this.
I will reach out to them. So the con is we have to wait for a month. Okay. All right, let's go on to the other one. Fiber. So listen to. Let's have to Morgan chime in.
Realize there's only 2 articles, but it's still very important that the voters come out. And we will be happy to answer any questions that come up that night. Thank you. And Selectman Moglen will be discussing Article 2.
Mr. Morgan.
Good afternoon.
Good
My
afternoon.
name's Doug Moglen. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Select Board, and I'm here to provide a brief explanation of Article 2 for the special town meeting to be held on November 15th. Article 2 is asking the voters to vote to form a municipal light plant in the town of Southwick. This vote is one of 2 required under Mass General Law, Chapter 164, Section 36. 2 subsequent votes must be taken within 2 and 13 months in order for the town to form a municipal light plant. Why would we form a municipal light plant? Forming a municipal light plant would allow the town of Southwick rights and access to the poles and rights of way throughout the town in order to provide high-speed fiber internet service to every resident and business in the town of Southwick. If this vote passes at the special town meeting on November 15th, we will come back with an identical article for the May town meeting in 2023. Thank you.
Doug, that wasn't much.
No. I saw that.
Stop. All right. So really the pro is you. What's that?
Nothing, I'm just
No, the
waiting.
pro really is you have 2 options. You'll have another option for your internet. I don't see any other way to say that.
Right.
Literally.
Does it make the town less dependent on a service provider and more independent in terms of, expansion and growth of high-speed internet connections?
Growth of the fiber, yeah. Yeah, it does. Because right now we're all saddled with Comcast, period.
So it introduces competition? I mean,
It
I don't,
absolutely does.
okay,
Our own competition, right? Because it'd be Southwick Fiber or whatever they're gonna call it. You know, Westfield Fiber does everything and they're doing all the hill towns. And
Yeah.
we did have them in, the select board had them in years ago. They did a great job. It was a great presentation. It was $8 million. And I think we couldn't get away from the table quick enough. And then COVID hit and we found out, geez, we need internet.
Yeah,
A lot more than we ever thought we needed it.
that's right.
So that's why I think it's back in front of us again.
So, Comcast contract, we just redid it.
Yes,
Another 5 years. They do not have the exclusive rights to the town of Suffolk. They just happen to be the only one that's in here and wired in place.
yes,
That's it. It's not like we can't have anybody else come in or somebody else wants to come in.
right.
They can. So Comcast doesn't have the exclusive, but nobody else has ever stepped up and showed an interest in coming in and wiring in town, because you gotta deal with phone company, you gotta rent space on their poles,
Yep.
and, you know, the whole 9 yards. And that's the whole deal. So
So the con really is $8 million
Hmm,
or 7 to 8 is what they're saying
for the light plan?
to do the whole town. You're looking around 8 million. That's what they told us years ago. So how do you finance that?
Hmm,
You know, and what is our revenue source going to be to pay for that? I mean, I don't know what Westfield Fiber is, 65 or something. I don't think it's huge money.
Yeah.
In Westfield. So people,
Oh, your monthly
your
cost.
monthly costs, it wasn't, do you know?
No.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask who runs this after the fact? Is there any cash outlay after we?
Yeah,
Set
your
the structure.
subcontractor would be Westfield Fiber or someone along those lines. We would not have employees, is my understanding. We're not looking to pad another department and
That's what it.
have Southwick Gas and Electric trucks riding around town. No, this is simply a paper product. In order to, I probably know too much, in order to lease the space on the pole, you need to become Southwick Electric, period. And that's why if you see all the new poles in town, they're 10 feet, they're 44 foot or something. There's a reason for that. So there is space to be rented, regardless who it is. Because you just can't go to Verizon or Ma Bell, whoever, this town is split. If you listen to the scanner, depending on what pole you hit, depend on who responds, whether it's Verizon or the other.
telephone company. owns
Well, the
them all.
telephone company owns them
They
all.
own them all, yeah.
Okay. So they're the only game in town, and to rent that space is X, and everyone has to move up to get you there. So that's why the new poles are everywhere they're going in. It's not just because of Southwick or just this option. So when we form, if they form this, it's strictly a paper product. No employees, none of that. Everything would be subbed out.
Okay, so it's really just this initial cash outlay that would have it. Would there be any ongoing cash outlay?
I'm sure there will be. Why wouldn't there be? Right?
I'm just
Everything,
kinda asking,
everything in
what
town needs
would
to
it
be upgraded.
I think
Nothing's
that's the
free.
biggest con, is that it might be costly.
It is costly.
Mm-hmm.
It is costly, and you want to do the whole town. Westfield's been 2 years, maybe 3 years. The town is still not done. There's still some outlay areas that they're getting to. So it's not done overnight for sure.
So there's an upfront investment cost, but then the town would have the ability to lease space on the poles that we now own.
We'll never own the poles. This will get us an agreement to lease space on those poles. So like right now, I just can't say, hey, I want to run fiber from my house down to my other business a mile away. On those poles, you can't do that.
So we'd be the leasee, not the
Leasee.
lessor.
Right.
Oh, I see. So
And the good news, I think if this goes through, there's really no expense for the paper product. If it gets voted on twice and approved, it's not $8 million the next day.
Right.
That just gives us the legality or the right tool to then move forward. And when we move forward, we may find out it could be 3 years from now and all of a
Yeah.
sudden fiber's not it. So
Right.
that door is still open. I know the ARPA funds that are sitting there today, there's around 900,000. Don't quote me, anyone. I believe it's around 900 and change that would be used towards this. In theory, that's what Mr. Mogan would like to do, which would probably cover the small structure fees or the soft costs
Right.
to get us to where we may or may not go, is I think his theory on that. So that's what I know.
Okay,
So
this
it
is
sounds
what
like I was just going to say, in terms of a pro and a con, the con shouldn't be phrased as this is an upfront, expense. It's more of this provides us an option to choose to take another path in the future. But the con, I mean, I'm not sure how to phrase that. If there is an $8 million roughly estimated, if we were inclined to take another step, but the yes vote in November, it isn't a con in November. You're
No,
saying,
the yes vote is to bring it back up the following
May.
May. Thank you for another vote. And then after that, that process would start. Yeah, it's not, I think you'd have to go right back to town meeting the following year to fund that 8 million or 7 million. You'd have a better ticket number by then because it's going to go up 20%.
yeah, and that's when
not.
when it becomes a con. It's not a con to present right now in terms of an $8 million outlay. Okay.
So I think it has to be presented so that everybody understands that this is a vote for the option. It's not a vote
Correct.
to actually approve.
Right.
But I'm also, because I'm in the neighborhood with the proposed cell tower and how that came across. The town meeting that it was proposed at, it was put forward as an option and not a done deal that we were voting on. And a few years later, it turned out, no, it was a done deal. That moving forward. So that's, I'm just gonna say,
Yep.
I know I'm concerned with that because I was the one that asked the question at the town meeting and I was told it wasn't a done deal when it really was moved forward.
Well,
So-
we won't talk about opinions.
But
I understand what you're saying.
But
I
that's why I'm
truly do.
asking this
I truly
question.
understand. Yeah. Yeah, this
saying
is
that
an
this-
option, right? It's not a done deal by voting yes or no at that town meeting. You are correct.
Okay.
At least the best of whatever this is. Yeah. I
So
would agree
I'll
with you.
put that as a pro then.
Yeah, because it's not a,
It just opens up our options and.
it literally opens our options up, which is still another town meeting away.
Right.
Right, which
Right.
is still positive to open up options. You want to
You
gather
would hope.
information, but then you might get that information and say, can't do that at this time.
Well, you know, the cable world's interesting, right? You have Cox Cable and Chicopee. They haven't seemed to want to move out either.
Right.
You know, they've had the plenty of opportunity to
Yeah,
grow.
yeah.
So it's
I
It
mean,
is
you got,
interesting.
You know, in between Cox, Charter,
yeah,
but.
they all have their little
they all have
areas.
Their little niche and they're gonna stay there. They're not
Yeah.
gonna step on each other's foot, otherwise it would be a mess, so.
Wouldn't be a mess for us if we had more
No.
options.
Yeah, because I thought we're not supposed to have monopolies, but
Well,
it happens in towns, just not in general.
Well, like I say, they actually don't have the monopoly. Comcast,
no,
that's right in their contract that they don't have the exclusivity
Right.
to the town.
if anyone's
You have
welcome
find
to come.
Somebody else who wants to come and do it. And the nobody's.
The appetite's not there.
Do you want me to read these?
I would love for you to read them.
Okay, so I'll start with Article 1. So the pros for Article 1, I have the TIF is provided for the improvements only, which is 8 parentheses 8 to 10 million, and not the existing building. Normal revenues will continue to be collected on the existing building. The improvements expect to create an estimated 20 jobs. Any edits to the pros, or you want to let that marinate and can come back?
Would revenue follow? I mean, you're still getting, you're gonna get 14,000 roughly. I wouldn't say 14,000, but there is some revenue coming in on that new structure, just not all at once.
And it will,
With 10 years of revenue growth,
that it will increase each year for the next 10
Yeah.
years.
Revenues.
and you can use your fancy percentages.
Yeah, I got it.
Thanks. Oh, Mr. Moglen is on. Douglas, you can probably hear us when we get back over to the, to your product. We'll have you talk to us. Thank you.
So the last sentence of that, after the improvements expect to create an estimated 20 jobs, the new structure will have revenues in year 1 increasing through year 10.
Perfect.
Good?
Yeah.
Very good? Okay.
Yes.
Cons, the town of Southwick will have to wait to receive full revenue from the improvements.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing,
That's
that's
the way I look at
pretty,
it. So,
pretty
yeah,
much it, right? All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like keeping things short and quick.
Yeah, me too.
Mhm.
Are we okay with that? Would we like to make a motion to approve that?
I'll make the motion.
Second. Second. All those in favor? Joe DDI.
Lita DeMaria, aye.
Karen Jemai, aye.
Remember Rocek, I.
Sherry Knowlton, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
Which is the And David doesn't have to vote. Thank you, David. I was gonna ask Doug his opinion, but I'm glad we voted because this isn't Doug's problem, it's ours. So, okay. Mr. Moglen.
Mr. Chairman,
You sound like I feel. So, we've been discussing your product in front of us. Have you listened?
I've been on about 3.5 minutes, sir.
Beautiful. Okay, so well, you can just entertain with us as we read these off, and then we'll ask for your input at the end, okay? Thank you.
Sure thing, Mr. Chairman.
Article 2.
Yes.
All right, Article 2, pros, residents will have an alternative to cable, increases competition in the market, which may affect pricing. A yes vote is a vote to allow the option to establish. A second vote is still required in May 2023 to proceed.
Okay.
That was very shorthand. I haven't had time to edit that, so welcome feedback.
Right. Say it again.
Residents will have an alternative to cable, increases competition in the market. It should say this
So it's
increase.
probably alternative to internet, or I wouldn't just say cable. Right?
Alternative.
What's the other one you want to use?
It's internet service provider.
They
There you go.
have an alternative internet service provider. This increases competition in the market, which may affect pricing.
Sure.
A yes vote is a vote to allow the option to establish. A second vote is still required in May 2020 to proceed with the project.
To proceed exploring.
So Douglas, if it gets voted on twice and approved, that doesn't put us in business the next day, correct?
No, not at all. We would have to come back and have all the financial discussion with this board and any other groups that have a financial stake in the matter. It's not an insignificant amount of dollars.
Understood.
So it's just it's to proceed with the project due diligence.
That's
That's what it is.
That's good, because to proceed made it sound like it was a
Yeah.
done deal. going
No,
forward.
absolutely
Yeah,
not.
I like that due diligence.
Right, but I don't like the first sentence. I don't like the sentence that I have here. A yes vote is a vote to allow the option to
Yes vote.
continue.
The yes vote is the first step in the project, two steps. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, a yes vote is.
First step in the process. And to come back at our town meeting.
You have to have 2 positive votes at 2 town meetings within not less than 2 months and no more than 13 months apart.
Okay, so a yes, thank you, Doug. A yes vote is the first step in the process. A second yes vote is still required in May 2023 to proceed with the project due diligence.
I would say future town meeting, because
More
more than likely it'll be May, but that's not a guarantee.
True.
Okay,
One good COVID and
true. I was listening to Doug's words in the YouTube video. In a future town.
That only took 20 takes to get that right.
sounded it.
Okay, all right. So a yes vote is the first step in the process. A second yes vote is still required in a future town meeting to proceed with the project due diligence.
Well, it's not really a project though. You gotta be careful with the wording. It's to form a municipal lighting plan. That's what the wording is. in the
Right,
article.
absolutely.
So it isn't so much a project, it's to establish a
Municipal.
municipal light board per se, or whatever.
I
And
think
I'm sure at the town meeting, someone's gonna say, oh, are we gonna be starting like Westfield Gas and Electric
Right,
type operation?
right, they're going to.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
but-
word plant
And then the
is,
select board's
sounds
gonna say,
like
no,
a
it's a paper
physical
product.
Yeah, so what do
Yeah.
we say?
I think you put the municipal light board in there, you have to.
yeah.
That's for the selectmen to get in trouble with, not us.
Right.
So with the municipal light board due diligence? That doesn't really sound right to me. Just with the
Formation.
to proceed.
Form A.
Yeah,
Well, it's
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, keep it
Yeah.
simple.
a two-step process. to form.
okay, definitely after. Okay.
And then the con.
The con is financing a fiber project may be costly. The town will not own the poles. We would have to lease space to utilize.
Say that again.
Financing a fiber project may be costly. The town will not own the poles, but this is really not the project. It's really
Right.
forming the
It's just
board.
the
I don't,
whole
what's the cons of forming a board?
There are none at this time.
Right. We agree.
Honestly,
Yeah,
Thank you.
I would say so.
Right.
Yeah, because that would lead you back to the done deal.
Right,
With
that's what I
the
say
vote.
as I'm reading it out loud.
Right.
To forming a municipal light board. Okay.
To explore the option.
What's that?
To explore the option.
Okay, one more time. The pros, residents will have an alternative internet service provider. This increases competition and well, but again, so now we're back and I'm reading the pros. And it's the pros to forming the municipal light board, not for, so now that we've got this out.
Right.
So yeah, so we're not going to, this vote won't give us a, competition or an alternative. It'll position the town to pursue alternatives in the future.
To allow the town to form the municipal light board to explore alternatives.
So negotiate with internet service
Because
providers.
people are gonna get really confused with this.
Yep, like
Yeah.
we are right now as we're talking out loud.
They all hash it out, then they ask our opinion
I
and
mean, if somebody stands up and says, look, we have to form this under the state, we have to form this, that gives us the authority to explore the option to come up with our own internet service or, type of thing. But I think we have to make the point that we need to vote to form the board.
right.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
And that's why we're
Wordsmithing
here.
it
And then
right
once we do
now.
that, then they can do it. I think we're putting the cart before the horse.
Way before.
all the MLP does is give you, if you form an MLP, you haven't spent $1 other than some short money to actually do the paperwork to form an MLP, which we already allocated some money out of the ARPA money to do that part of the work. But the MLP only gives you the rights to locate equipment on poles. We haven't put anything on a pole, and that's going to take money, and that's going to have to be a whole much larger discussion amongst, a lot of stakeholders for that, right?
So
You'd have to
Doug-
form a separate enterprise fund, et cetera, much like you have for water, sewer, treat it like any other utility, right? And understand if you borrow money to create the utility, how are you going to pay that money back without it becoming a burden on the taxpayer? That's a huge part of this discussion in the future. This is only step one of N.
And just for future reference, say we do decide to pursue this option, does it go back to the townspeople to vote again to actually?
We have to for the funding source.
You would have
Okay.
to, unless somehow the only way, yes, because you're gonna have to borrow money to do it, and that has to go back in front of town meeting to borrow the money for a bond authorization.
And then that's
There's
what
many
they,
safeguards and opportunities for the public to speak up again,
again,
Oh, yeah,
if we decide to proceed
yes.
moving
Yep.
forward. Okay.
absolutely.
And then who would be the light board? Would it be the board of selectmen or would it be another
The commission.
elected?
No, I'm
We haven't even
just kind of
discussed that
curious
yet.
what the next step
Right.
would be.
Right. We haven't even discussed it yet. In a few other towns where it's been done, the select board was the municipal light board, only because it was very narrow focus in that you're only doing is providing internet and you've subcontracted the whole function out. There's no town function around it, but that's subject to further discussion.
But these are all kind of questions that are probably gonna pop up at the town meeting. People are gonna ask them, so we might still get them out there and
Yeah.
people can
So the selectmen can have the answer,
have the
Yeah.
answer.
not us.
Okay. Reworded, Okay, a municipal light board allows the town to explore alternative internet service providers. A yes vote is the first step in the process. A second yes vote is still required at a future town meeting to proceed with forming a municipal light board. I had a thumbs up from Paul. Yeah, good. A municipal light board allows the town to explore alternative internet service providers. A yes vote is the first step in the process. A second yes vote is still required at a future town meeting to proceed with forming a municipal light board.
Yeah.
Okay. Cons, the finance committee believes there are no cons.
At this time.
Good.
It's good.
Mhm.
Still too easy.
I'm gonna bring my tablet next time we do this.
Yeah.
I'm a typer, as you can tell, not a writer.
Need a motion.
Make the motion.
You got it. Make sure I can read all of my writing. Before we. Should it be like? Well, that's what I was gonna say. Doug, should we say, because we keep referring to it as a municipal light board, but there's nothing in the article that says light board. It keeps calling it a municipal lighting plant, but is that going to be understood?
The articles to form a municipal light plant. We haven't even gotten into the technicalities yet of what
So we're gonna change
structure of the
everything.
plant would look like as far as a board and who is that board and what does that board look like yet?
No, thank you. Yeah, I haven't seen
Okay.
that. We were-
Let's change it.
The train was out of the station by the time I thought of it. So. Okay,
So a motion was made and
Made
seconded.
a second, yeah.
All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Leah G. Maria, I.
Karen Tamayo,
Rubber Hotchkiss, aye.
Sharon Olson, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
Richard GI. David doesn't know, thank you. Okay. That wasn't that painful.
So you just photocopy my chicken scratch for the town meeting. I'm just kidding. Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Mogul,
Paul,
for your time.
read my writing.
No problem.
Okay. FY 24.
Now we have to do the vote on whether the finance committee recommends Article 1 and Article 2.
Thank you.
We just need to vote on it. Okay, do we recommend it or don't recommend it? We've always recommended it. No, well, no, I shouldn't say that. I should never say that. I'm so sorry.
No, we haven't.
So what are our feelings on this? Are we okay with recommending it?
Yeah.
Definitely,
Yes,
yeah.
I am with both,
Yep.
especially
Make a
number 2. There's no.
motion
Sure, no downside to that.
Make the motion to recommend
Both are
approval.
yes,
on Article 1 and 2.
the same person.
I think as long as you state.
Both.
Yeah.
Articles 1 and 2.
Article 1 and 2.
Is it?
I got a motion.
Yeah, motion. He has seconded it, yeah. All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Leah G. Maria, I. Karen Tamara, I.
Rubber Hotchkiss, aye.
Sharon Olson, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
Richard GI. Thank you. FY 24 budget framework.
And gives,
So what are our thoughts here?
our thoughts are, just looking at this, starting to get the budget package ready. Just the very preliminary is just looking at whether you guys want to keep the 5% decrease, the level funded and amount requested by departments, those 3 columns.
Yeah,
And then if people have suggestions on things they would like to see changed or modified. Make it easier for people to read, going through this. If you could just kind of let us know, we can't guarantee we can implement anything. But if there's, those who have used this packet before, if you have suggestions.
I'm sure this has been looked at before, because I know these samples.
Yeah.
Any chance they could go on one page, or, because I was shuffling through these last year, I was just like losing, my brain was lost trying to, but I don't know, I'm sure it's been tried before and it's a disaster, huh? Okay, so then I'm just gonna shut. I'm just,
People don't tend to know where to put the extra information.
That's and you are right about that, depending on the, if it's a seasoned department head. They probably copy and paste, right, because they've already had it done. But if it's anybody
They
new.
just put it anywhere.
right, last year I was like, where's this?
We
get
won't even go there, yeah.
I get it.
Okay. Laura, do you see something that you don't like?
No, I just in the observations as people are flipping through,
Right.
Sometimes it's hard,
It is.
trying to make sure everybody fills in all the columns, they're putting everything in the right spots, and then trying to, get it all onto a front page so that,
Right.
everybody can have it there.
But that's a department head problem more than it's ours.
More than us.
Yeah.
Yeah. More
And you
department.
definitely can see the chicken scratch and how they got there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we really use the 5-year projection? We saw a request on the 5-year projection. We ever really do it?
So honestly, I don't think Logan's still on, so let's do that. I don't ever recall looking back 5 years on a projection. We're too involved in the actual budget and what we're looking at for numbers. I know they do it because they want that new bus or that new whatever in 5 years, so it's always there.
Yeah, there's only a
I
couple
don't ever
departments that would
recall.
ever really use it, maybe like a police or fire.
Police,
type
fire,
thing.
DPW.
Right, but in.
Yeah, I mean, not accounting, clerk's office, but very rare, right? She got her new voting machine, so she's probably quiet for a while. But yeah, your service, your guys that are moving equipment all the time, they're back there.
I just think nothing cuts down on a few pages to your point.
Well, I'd hate to pull that out because as as we all know, they'll pull that up and say, for 5 years, I've been looking for that. You guys know that. And I'm gonna look back there and go back to page 2. But yes, yes, it's there.
Do they do this by hand and give it to you? And you have to transpose it? Can't get them to join the 21st century
Listen,
with a form?
No.
No, okay, all right. Just asking. I'm a new guy.
population
We get
9,000.
told.
Yeah.
So whoever we're in charge of. is
We're gonna
going
get to all
get
of that shortly.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, we got popcorn tonight. We're
Now,
gonna-
didn't you guys put the new software? No, there's nothing new for the budgeting process.
No, there's no new budgeting, it's all been done in Excel.
Yeah.
And these forms don't.
There's been new stuff in the clerk's office that's set for a few years and others finally using. It's not so much for budgets though. So there is some stuff out there.
Okay.
That you're
Yeah,
thinking.
I could have sworn there was something for you.
No,
No, I had put and I've taken it off the table, is looking at our accounting software.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that was it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but not for budgeting.
Okay.
Yeah, we're still.
I mean, we'll go off just for, so is Munis really the only game is that Munis is a town or city municipal
Yeah,
software?
it is a software.
Yeah.
There are other, ones out there, but it's the one
Munis
that
seems to
is
be the one.
that most cities and towns.
Yeah, Munis,
in-
right.
Okay. In the municipality, they
But that's
use-
what I was remembering.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what you were remembering.
And are we okay with the -5, the level funded?
Yeah.
I like to see the -5. I know we never seem to act on it, but maybe this year we are gonna do some exercises this year with that -5.
What's that?
Under budget process, they either level fund or are they -5?
5%. So whatever the
5%.
line item is, if it's $1,000, then we ask them to budget 5% down from that. So.
Is that in light of their previous year and they didn't match it at all? So they
Nope,
should be
it's just-
asking for more of the same?
Nope, it's just a process. They always ask for the same.
Mhm.
They never go down. Usually they try to go up some, which we
Well,
understand.
Yeah, I've done budgets before.
Yeah. So the practice is the -5%. It's a nice option. So either you figure out where you want to cut 5%, or the finance committee and select board can figure
I
out.
got
for
you.
you.
All right, I got you.
And there's a lot of pushback every year on that.
Mhm.
So maybe this is the year we
Just
honor that.
out of curiosity, would a 5% decrease have to be in every department?
No,
Or
it depends on
can
how
we-
you do it. I mean, you don't touch salaries. That's
Right.
off the table.
Right,
So you have their functioning budget per se. And your boards and committees are the same way, right? Some boards and committees have a fund source or X amount of dollars. And, we've never, like, I shouldn't say, we've really never cut. Last year I went around and cut personally, and I went to each department head instead of publicly torturing people. And I was able to, the sad part is I spent months and I don't think we saved $100,000. I think that's a high number, to be honest with you, which was a penny if we were lucky.
so okay, I just wanted
Yeah.
to know, does every department have to cut, or can we say, okay, police and fire, we can't cut you, you have a level funded, but everybody else has.
You can do
Yeah,
whatever you
I
want.
didn't know if there was anything by law.
No law, but a lot of times if we have a tight year, your police and fire will step up and say, I don't need this, I don't need that. I actually, every department has stepped up, and I've asked personally and cooperated with me cutting budgets, of course, I always say, well, next year I'm gonna need that back. And especially clerk's office, if there's not 6 elections that year, there is some room there. Since the only thing is, Mr. Steinhardt will tell you, you can do that all you want. You can go in and trim these budgets. But if that board or commission is working out well, they're not going to spend that money. It goes back into the general fund. You know what I mean? So in Michelle Hill's case, if there's only 3 elections this year, not 6, there's an extra 40 or 50,000 in that for police or for, whatever. It's not spent. So it does go back into the general fund at a certain time. You know what I mean? So we don't have to trim. It will go back in if they're watching their P's and Q's. But we're going to talk about all that shortly and that whole process. So anything else, Laura? No, she wants to look these over for the next meeting, if there's anything you can think of. Yeah. So,
Just trying to get some feedback, just trying to make it easier,
yeah, the easiest part is if people actually turn them in on time, correct? That would be the easier part. Yeah. And you could read it and it's legible.
Yeah, reading legible.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe.
Yes, Dave.
Excuse me. So just a quick question on when we were talking about the budget, and I had asked about the school budget previously. When they add to personnel and the school deems they need, I don't know, another teacher coach or custodian or something, does that come through us like it would for a town position, or do they have the discretion to do that?
They give us a budget, and in that budget, maybe that new staff hire or, 3rd grade teacher went to 4th grade. That's all within their piece. I did reach out to the school system, and I believe I haven't opened them. I just haven't had the time. 2 different presentations. I'm going to call it 101 school economics, how the system works. Some folks that have been sitting here for years have seen it. Some new guys have not seen it, and folks, and you haven't seen it. I am going to bring those forward shortly, but I would like someone from the school to be here when we do that, so they can answer a lot of questions like that one tonight, David. I'm sure they would love to tell you how they hire or don't hire a staff member. We get a number, and as you know, the state tells you how much you're going to spend with the schools, and if you decide to, I won't say defund, but if you decide to lower that number, the state will also tell you you're going to write a check for that number. We don't really have the option. There's a minimum contribution, which for years we have hit. And then there's some other pieces of that we've gone over, whether it's the paving or this or that. But overall, you don't have much control over that school budget. You can be a part of that process, but in the end, you're not in control of it. you're a yes or no vote at town meeting on that budget. And I believe in our packet tonight, they have a meeting coming up here shortly in the end of November. It's called a roundtable, and I suggest you all go, because you're gonna get a lot of questions answered on the spot from those folks. And it's really good to see who the players are, because it's 3-town board, the school system. It's not just Southwick. So you can see Townsend, Granville, and what their views are and their opinions are. And they all bring something different to that table. They all have needs and wants that are different. Yes, we're the biggest stakeholder in that process, but there is 2 other towns involved.
Yeah,
Thank you.
The school committee are the ones that oversee the school budget and have any say.
Correct.
They are the ones
For
that should be
staffing.
questioning the superintendent's office
Yes,
and the system of checks and balances. We are not the system of checks and
Right.
balances for the schools.
correct. Okay. Good, good. All right. So that was the FY24 budget framework. New business. Does anyone have any new business? Wonderful. I do. So, thank you. That's all. What is it?
Wait, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
They're okay.
Yeah.
Where are they? They're on things. Awesome.
Well,
I
He
didn't realize I was having
didn't
one.
he didn't get this back.
Oh, I didn't get it.
I tried to give you one.
I'm not paying attention. Busy couple days ahead. All right, so up front is our liaison list, right? Everyone sees that, and that's pretty cool, huh? Your name's over on the right. It's all exciting. Although I was told that poor Sheila is still on here for the historic. I thought we fixed that. It does not look like that. Okay. I will take Sheila's responsibilities for now, and then we will look at it at our next meeting.
Okay.
So how long have you been on the finance committee?
Will be my 4th year.
Awesome. Just you, I think. New, 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 years.
2 years, beautiful.
My second year.
Second year, great. Have we ever done a look back halfway through the year on finances? Have we ever looked at the town's budget, each department, where they stand?
Yeah,
Never. Okay, you have it in front of you tonight. This is 6 months, right? We're halfway through the year. Our budgets. Wherever you are a liaison, I would like you to pay special attention to. And what we're looking at on the right-hand column, I believe, is a percentage of how much they've spent so far. Now, mind you, certain ones are going to be 80% for a good reason. I don't know that reason, but I'm sure it's a good reason. So I would like you as a liaison to reach out and find out why.
Okay.
Okay. Because if there's no checks and balances, as we saw tonight, I get it, but that's not our problem that their secretary wasn't funded.
Right.
That should have been caught months ago when things weren't coming in. And I wasn't going to beat people up. That's not why they're here. And same with the travel or education. I get they're new, but if we start giving away the world, we're screwed. Yep. So that got through tonight. I get it. I think we're going to tighten our reins up here a little bit moving forward. Personally, we are in charge of the town's budget, literally, as much as the selectmen think they are. The buck does stop here. I mean, I think we actually have more power than the selectmen if you really truly think and run your budget like you should. I've never worked for someone really. So if I want more money, I make more money. It's just the way I've always worked. Some of you probably have scheduled 40 hours a week. You make so much every week, you budget your money, right? If you want that new car, you figured out how you're going to do it. If the kid's going to college, you're figuring that out today.
That's right.
Town doesn't work like that sometimes. And I don't even want to look in here because I'm scared. I'm really, truly nervous about what I'm going to see. And I'm going to have some time in my hands. That's why I kind of asked for this to look at this. So I am going to tear this apart personally. And it's not going to be pretty. People need to be held accountable. And they're all doing a great job. I'm not here to say we have a problem, but we just need people to be aware of where they're spending. And, we don't have an open checkbook in the town of Southwick. I'm sorry. Does that make any sense?
Yeah,
it does.
Okay. And then when it comes to our budget season, and this is not, I'm trying not to be disrespectful to the select board or to you folks that have been here for a few years, but nothing frosts me more than we go to a budget, you know, we're down to the ticks and tacks. And you guys smile and say, well, what are you thinking? We need to have our own opinions. Okay, that's why we're here, right? We're not elected to this board. We're appointed to this board for a reason. We're stewards to this town and we need to do it. And if anyone has a problem, I'll gladly take your resignation. And at this point in my life, I don't care. Understood?
Yes, I worked for .org. Yes, I understand you.
Sorry if I'm being pushy. I'm just.
No.
If you get behind, if you truly get behind what you do,
I'm surprised
you
it's
become
not done.
passionate.
As the finance committee, why are we at 96.8%?
There you go. We gotta see, and I want answers.
Well, some things can be front-ended, like some things.
And absolutely.
Yeah,
And they will be.
it's kind of being funny.
And then,
Yeah, it's the finance committee at 96.8%.
Because I saw an option allowed.
Look at that, my mouth.
I'm like, well, they must have
Okay.
presented their
Thanks, Laura.
bill and it's the beginning of the year, so
And
it's
some of
paid
them,
and we won't get another one.
100% includes if they encumbered the money.
Yeah.
So even though
Right, there's POs written out there that they have not touched yet, but they're written.
they're
I get more nervous about overtime. You're gonna see at Wally Park, I'm sure they spent some money this year. I just don't know if they have enough money for the spring. You know, budgets are till July, not
Right.
till Christmas.
Right,
And that took me only 4 years to figure that out as a selectman. I just couldn't comprehend the two different worlds and budgets and July to July, or what the hell is that about? You know, calendar year. Oh, no.
yeah, no, yeah,
No, no.
budget is,
Yeah.
yeah, it's,
So I just really, you're a liaison for a reason, not to just see them 2 weeks before budget season and say, oh, yeah, we're hoping for a new fire truck.
and just so I'm reading this correctly, there's a number, like, for example, I'm on page 12 and it says 01151 legal negotiation operations. That's a department.
Hold on. What page?
12,
Thank you.
so is that, or is that part of? Okay, I just need to know like where the beginning starts for a particular department. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of confusing there.
So it lines up with our budget, so that is, there's not. For this particular one, there isn't a department head. I mean,
It's all. legal
select
fees.
board,
Right,
it's, you know, it's the, look, this is the lawyer for you.
Right.
You know,
And you're gonna come across a lot of stuff, highlight it. This isn't, I don't expect answers at our next meeting
So
completely.
legal negotiator operations is a GL account number?
It's a GL account number, yeah.
Gotcha, now I got you.
Right.
And it's like.
But we don't know which department it goes to.
Probably goes to all legal is legal.
Legal's just flat.
Yeah.
Yep.
And do I have a copy of what my department's budget was last year? Is that also in here, or is this is just our 6 month?
Right.
Yeah.
Let's look at what they spent. Any
So I gotta go
percentage.
through and find my people.
Yeah, you do. I mean, look through the whole thing.
Right,
But
right.
really concentrate on,
Anything
because I don't want to reach out to each
100%
department.
plus,
Right,
yeah.
if you're the liaison, hey, how you doing? Oh, why you calling me so soon in the year? Oh, because there's a new jerk in charge and he wants me to talk about your budget and it looks over here like you've been spending a lot. Oh, yeah, I need ammunition. I wrote the PO and, we got a deal on it and okay, wonderful, great, thank you. And you report back, yeah, it's high because I bought all the ammunition for the year. Oh, that's cool. But just, we
Yeah,
have to,
there'll be no
if we've
more.
never looked back, that's what I told them tonight, right? Your conference and travel is done.
Mhm.
Thank you. Don't come back here in 2 weeks.
Right,
We're all set and figure it out for next year,
yeah,
I just think it's healthy to take a look.
yes, no,
You
it
look at
is,
your budgets at home, I hope, right?
yes.
Sure. My wife's not listening.
It's all in my head.
Yeah.
I'm gonna spend a lot.
No, but I know.
Chase the bills.
Yeah. Okay, any questions on that?
Mm-mm.
No. All right. Not too much. I mean, we should be doing this, that's all.
Mhm.
And I understand if you don't think we should be, but too bad. Keep forgetting a few things. And we have one other thing, I believe, that's from the school department. On behalf of the Southwick Town and Granville Regional School Committee, in accordance with the Southwick Town and budget roundtable meeting, and request the presence of representatives of your town per the regional agreement. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss the financial circumstances in the respective communities and to enhance communication with the town as a regional school committee develops an operating budget for the following year. David, that's got your name all over it. You can ask any question you'd like that night.
Sounds good, Joe.
Okay, good. All right. It'll take place Tuesday, November 22nd at 5:30 at Powder Mill School Library, which is 94, but that's the new library, not the old one that I used to go in. A copy of the open town meeting is attached. Okay. So folks, do you think you can make it? Yep. Okay. She'll do a presentation. It's quick, but it is a great place to ask any question you have because they won't know the answer, but they will get back to you. You know what I mean? And that's how you open up that dialogue. And same thing, you want to put the schools on notice that you're really looking. This is the place to do that because it's got to help. I think was there school committee there? I think they are right at that meeting.
Yes.
Yes, they're also there. Yeah. So yeah,
not all of them, but there are.
yeah, there's whoever makes it.
There's a lot of people.
I tend to make sure we're all there though. We have to show strength in numbers. All right.
There's usually about half the school, the finance committee that's there and the select board.
Yeah.
The other town.
Okay, so that's that. Your finance committee directory is updated. So take a look at that when
I
you
emailed Nina with my mailing address too. I realized it
wasn't there. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
street isn't there.
Yeah, we updated it. We must have printed out the wrong one, so we'll get.
I mean, you can send them everything. I'm fine with that. Wow.
No, I think we.
Laura, it's
Just
okay.
the wrong version.
I know, Laura, it's fine. They screwed up the first one. I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, you got my number. That's all that matters. I love that cell phone.
I don't think I got that sheet.
You can have mine.
It's the last one I can see.
Oh, on the bottom.
Yeah, so disregard will send out.
Yeah, it's no big thing. I don't even need it printed. I just saved it on the email. I made a file in my inbox for committee, so I have all my stuff in there.
Yeah. And you can reach out to me at any time. I don't have a problem with that. And I don't think we. Douglas. Get from the unhook there. Mr. Moglen. Oh, he's pretending he's on.
Yes, Joe.
Thank you, sir. So open meeting. I just told them they can reach out at any time. They're allowed to talk to me, correct? We just can't have 3 or 4 people talking at once,
Correct, I think.
right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people. So I'm sure one person can call me at a time.
Yeah, just not on the same issue. So if Mrs. DeMayo calls you about the fire department and someone else talks to you about the police department, that's not, you can't go and call all 4 of you guys about the fire department, for example. That would be a problem, but you know what I mean?
Okay, I do. I just wanted to get that out there.
I am not a lawyer and I did not stay at a Holiday Inn Express.
No, but you've been beaten down enough.
And I've been on the wrong side of a few of those, so, all right.
Thank you. I appreciate it,
So I
sir.
think if there can't be a majority of us
Right.
together talking about the subject.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
But you can't also serially go and poll
Right.
each other on a
Okay.
topic.
Right.
That is also a meeting violation, but you know, Karen, you have your boards and commissions that you're the liaison for, and Mr. Horacek for other boards and commissions. You can all talk to Joe back and forth about those various ones.
Right.
I believe.
I believe so too. Okay, that's everything in our packet, correct? I miss anything?
I don't think so.
I already wrecked mine, so use that. Things never change. All right, anything under old business? Laura, do we have anything under old business? Nothing you're aware of? No. Anybody here? No? Yes, sir. Where's my boat?
It's 2 more. This time next year you'll have the boat.
Okay, thank you.
I was asked to participate by Chief Landis in a handgun shoot training for Southwick PD at the Westfield Sportsman's Club.
Yep.
And there were two reasons that he invited me. Number one was to see how much ammunition was used throughout the training, and it's excessive. And the amount of cost is 2.5 times of what it was last year for ammunition. The second was how important it is to perhaps look at a slight increase relevant to the budget for training. And that would be based on the loss of the 2 officers in Bristol.
Yep.
And the third being severely injured. The training that they go through is absolutely necessary and constantly needs to be upgraded. Or you have instances like that where, once adrenaline starts to rush, everything changes. They were very proficient in what they did, and it was very, very impressive. Mike Bridges have to be one of the best shots.
Imagine that. Okay, that's all you got?
That's it. That was my liaison.
Yes, I'm glad you do that. I appreciate that. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, Joe.
Yes, sir.
So the packet that you were looking at earlier with the budget.
Yes. Where would you like your sent?
Oh, I mean, if there's an electronic version, that's fine. And if not, I can stop by Michelle's, window tomorrow or anytime you get it. If Nina or Laura put it there.
I'm going right by his street. I can drop it off tonight. Yeah.
So tonight it's gonna appear that someone's egging your house. They're not. They're dropping off the town budget. She'll be there shortly. She'll be there shortly.
All right, just make sure you say trick or treat.
I was gonna say they should still get candy when they drop that off.
What is your ad? Well, what's the number?
What's the number? I know where it is, but I just want to make sure.
Number 3, Alcove Road, number 3.
That's where the good candy is tonight, folks.
Only big.
I need a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor, Joe Didi, aye.
Rita G. Maria, I.
Karen Tamayo, aye.
Pepper project,
Jerry Nelson, aye.
Well, time of that.
All right, folks, thank you.